Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. Welcome once again to Nerd Week Live, the show in which we, the folks at Nerd Caliber, bring to you nerd news that has happened over the past week since our last show last Tuesday. I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, a first-person shooter on Facebook and Instagram as a cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter on Twitter, and Burley Adopter on other places like Mastodon and so on. Before we get into tonight's topics, let me do the first of our little promos. We would love to have you follow us on Twitch if you do, in fact, have a Twitch account. The URL is right there, twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. We stream the show live on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. And we're trying to grow Twitch to be something like the numbers that we have on those other two very successful platforms. Twitch.tv/nerdcaliber. I have to apologize for the sound of my dying fan. It actually made it up to 70 degrees here on the North Shore of Massachusetts, and I had the windows open and everything, but apparently that put a strain on my computer, and the fan that had been functioning pretty well over the last few weeks has started acting up again and making noise. So if you hear that weird buzzing sound, it's a dying computer case fan. Oh well. We'll get right into our first topic, and that is something that I just skipped right over here. This is the cast, as announced so far, for the upcoming show potentially titled Welcome to Derry, the prequel to the most recent It movie adaptations, Stephen King's It. We have, from left to right, Taylor Page, Jovan Adepo, Chris Chalk, and James Remar. Taylor Page has been in stuff that I'm not terribly familiar with. A movie Zola, which apparently won a Spirit Award. I haven't seen it yet, but was also in the Oscar winner Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Adepo, my biggest exposure to him is in The Watchmen. He played Will Reeves, the original Hooded Justice, and he was fantastic in that. But he was also in The Stand. He played Larry Underwood. Recently in the movie Babylon, and played the adult version of Antron McCrae in the TV miniseries When They See Us, which was about the Central Park Five. He shares that with the next guy, Chris Chalk, who was also in When They See Us, playing Yusuf Salam, both as a youth and an adult. You would probably recognize him. He was in most of the seasons of Gotham, playing Lucius Fox. He was one of my absolute favorite, 2-episode characters in Justified, Jody. He was in most of the seasons of The Newsroom on HBO. And way back, but earlier in his career, 12 Years a Slave. So he's got a great track record. And then there's James Remar, who I was going to say has been in everything, but not exactly everything, but pretty damn close. Ajax and the Warriors, going all the way back to 1979. Dutch Schultz in the Cotton Club. Albert Gantz in 48 Hours. He was in the series Sex and the City. Most recently, he was in a single episode of Yellowstone. He played Peter Gamby in Black Lightning for almost all of it. So when I say everything, not really, but that's not far off. I mean, James Remar has been in so many things. You look at his picture and go, oh yeah, that guy. And then you try to figure out whether or not you can remember what he's been in. So that's your cast. We know that this is a sequel. We've talked about it before. We know it's being executive produced by the producers and the directors of the two most recent It movies, Andy and Barbara Muschietti, and It Chapter 2 co-producer Jason Fuchs. So it is directly taking from their interpretation of Stephen King's work and putting it directly into Why is Twitch not showing me that? It keeps doing this. What's going on here? It says it's live, but then it says it's offline. So I'm not really sure what's going on. It looks like everything is fine on everything's fine on Facebook, and everything is fine on YouTube. I might have to rework Twitch before the next stream to get it to work properly. But that said, let's not talk about that. Let's talk about working title, Welcome to Derry. It is definitely a prequel. I don't know how far back in history it's going to be set, but we do know that Pennywise makes his appearance regularly on a certain cycle of number of years. So it's going to be set, whatever that cycle is, and I can't remember, prior to, one would assume, one of those cycles prior to the most recent movies. So we don't know when this is going to happen or when we're going to get to see it. They've just now announced the cast. Hopefully that means they're pretty close to writing. Muschietti will direct multiple episodes of this. Andy Muschietti will direct multiple episodes of the series, including the first episode. But again, it doesn't say how far along they are in writing those episodes. So we'll tell you more about it when we hear more about it. Moving on to our next topic. This is, of course, Dustin and Steve from Stranger Things, the most recent series of Stranger Things, when they're in the house. And the news is that while we know that Stranger Things is going to no longer be a live action series, hint hint, after the next season, season 5, we just found out that the series, there will be an animated series based on Stranger Things coming from Netflix, that is going to be produced. Executive producer is Eric Robles and with his studio Flying Bark Productions. This is apparently with the blessing of the Duffer Brothers, who created Stranger Things and basically have made all of the upcoming 5 seasons. The Duffers said in a statement, quote, "We've always dreamed of an animated Stranger Things in the vein of the Saturday morning cartoons that we grew up loving, and to see this dream realized has been absolutely thrilling. We couldn't be more blown away by what Eric Robles and his team have come up with. The scripts and artwork are incredible, and we can't wait to share more with you. The adventure continues." So that tells you that the Duffers are not involved in the scripting, in the directing, in the production of this. It is the Flying Bark Productions. And the only thing that Flying Bark Productions has done is the Ninjago series, which is done in an animation very much like the Lego movies. They look and function almost exactly like that style of animation. Does that mean that's the only kind of animation that they can do and that's what this is going to look like? Probably not. I would assume it's going to have something like a sort of Saturday morning cartoon feel to it based on what the Duffers said in their statement. But we don't know that for sure. And having just one listed IMDb credit, the Ninjago series, which started in 2019 and I think ended in 2022, who knows how good this is. If the Duffers give this guy Robles and the studio their blessing, which they certainly have here, I'm mildly confident that it's not going to suck. But we'll have to see. There have been major fails in trying to recreate the feel of classic Saturday morning cartoons, Velma, in recent days. So fingers crossed that the Duffers didn't just take a paycheck and said a lot of good things about something that they could care less about. I don't feel that that's kind of the way they go, but money does talk. Cautiously optimistic, let's put it that way. I will tell you more about it as we know more about it. But again, no information on whether or not the actors are going to come back as the voice cast, or even if it is the same characters. Maybe it's just set in the same town with the same sort of problems. So again, we'll have to see. Moving on to our next topic. All right, this is going to be a pretty big one that encompasses a lot of the Star Wars announcements coming out of Celebration, Star Wars Celebration recently held in London. The big one of the big ones for me here is, of course, we found out that Andor, which this is from, the series Andor, my favorite piece of Star Wars content ever made, the best piece of Star Wars content ever made, there can be no arguing with that, will be coming back in August of 2024. Apparently, they put up a teaser trailer for those people in attendance. I have yet to see it anywhere leaked, so good on Disney's security, I guess. According to Tony Gilroy, who created the series, they start shooting in November, or they started shooting in November. They're halfway done. They'll finish shooting this coming August, and then they have a year in post-production. So that's great. They revealed the first footage from the upcoming series by Leslie Headland, The Acolyte, which is starring Carrie-Anne Moss and Squid Game's Lee Jung-jae. And from what I've heard about it, it's really good. Moss is a Jedi Master, Jung-jae is a Jedi Master, and we don't know exactly what the story is particularly. It's set during a time between the High Republic and the beginning of the prequel films. So I guess you could say sort of at the height of the Jedi powers. But yeah, again, we'll have to see. Moving back to that image, they also showed the first footage. And again, no leaks, no even screen grabs of any of these on that I could find doing a search. So again, good job, Disney security. We saw they apparently put out the first trailer of Skeleton Crew, which is Jude Law. Jude Law plays a Jedi, apparently with a shaven head. That's the thing that they wanted to point out. This is apparently done being by Jon Favreau. And there's nothing else really about it. It apparently it features a group of rebellious kids traveling throughout the galaxy, and I'm assuming that Jude Law, as a Jedi, plays sort of their guardian, mentor, teacher, whatever. We'll get to Ahsoka on its own later on, and then there's a bunch of news about Star Wars films. So Dave Filoni will be making a Star Wars film. Filoni, who is responsible for Star Wars Rebels, basically the stuff that has, and Clone Wars, the stuff that has made the current background for what's going on in most of the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, and so on. He will be working on a movie that is set in... Come on, let me find it here. Between the fall of the Empire and an escalating war between the Imperial Remnant, as they call it, and the fledgling New Republic. Basically, this movie is going to be a movie about some character or something set in essentially the timeline that's happening in most of these series. Again, The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, which we'll get to, all are set in this same, after the fall of the Empire, probably before the rise of the First Order. Well, at least we know Mandalorian is before and Book of Boba Fett are before the rise of the First Order. We don't necessarily know if that's the case with this Filoni movie. The second movie they announced is going to be made by James Mangold. And that really got my attention. James Mangold is an amazing filmmaker. You might remember him most for, where are we here? Logan. Writing and directing Logan. Directing Ford v Ferrari. Directing the Johnny Cash biopic Walk the Line. The executive producer on The Greatest Showman, director of 3:10 to Yuma, one of the better remake westerns of recent days. A lot of really excellent stuff. going all the way back to 1997, he wrote and directed Copland, the single best performance by Sylvester Stallone since the original Rocky movie. If you want to see Stallone really act like we know he can because of Rocky, find Copland. It's a really good, really intense cop crime drama set in a very realistic, northern New Jersey, where Stallone is just an average beat cop who happens to run into the fact that that's where most of the mafia hides their bad people when they need to be hidden for a while. It's a really, really good movie. Logan alone gets him all of the passes that you could possibly give a director, but he doesn't need him. He's done a ton. He did the Wolverine, so he's done a ton of really excellent stuff, a ton of niche stuff as well as more mainstream stuff. Fantastic director and writer. So I'm really looking forward to that. That is set. I have to get back here to. Mangold's is set during the period of the dawn of the Jedi. So, also very interesting. The next thing that they announced was that Daisy Ridley is going to be coming back as Rey in a new movie or series of movies. Well, I guess they only announced the one movie. And I love Daisy Ridley. I love her as Rey. I think she did a great job. I really like that character and her take on it. Obviously, the sequels were 2 out of 3 garbage. And the Skywalker saga is dead. It's done. Because all the characters are dead. She's not a Skywalker. She stole the name. So I'm like, okay, I could care less. I'm not going to watch this. Again, I like Daisy Ridley, but, Skywalker saga should be buried like the lightsabers were buried. Then I find out it's going to be directed by I want to get her first name right before I screw this up. Let me go all the way back to the top here where they say it. Nope, that's not where they say it. Give me a sec here. There's so much in here. I screwed this up by scrolling away from them. There we go. Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, the showrunner and director of many of the episodes of Ms. Marvel. So, like, okay. Now they have my attention. It's being written by Stephen Knight, the showrunner and creator of Peaky Blinders. Okay, now you really have my attention. I don't know that means it's going to be a more serious movie. Obaid-Chinoy clearly was not particularly serious with Ms. Marvel, as much as I love that series. But Peaky Blinders is, like, serious as a bullet to the face. Interesting. I'm now much more interested in this movie. You get good people doing stuff, chances are you're going to get a good movie. So that's most of what happened, or what was announced and shown at Celebration, aside from, I'm going to give this its own because they actually put out the full trailer for this, Ahsoka. The trailer looks really good. It again, I won't go into a lot of details because people who watch this don't particularly care for, watching trailers. They don't like to have things spoiled for them. This isn't anything of a spoiler. If you've seen The Mandalorian, you know Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka and as an adult Ahsoka, wielding the 2 white lightsabers. That's nothing new. It does show you some of the characters that we know are in here. So we have, you see Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera Syndulla in this trailer. You also see, again, I need to get the actors or actress's name correct. Natasha Liu Bordizzo as Sabine Wren. You get to see the back of the head of Admiral Thrawn. So clearly, as was sort of blatantly spelled out in her episode in The Mandalorian, she's looking for Thrawn. But you also get to see Ray Stevenson in some role as a Sith, and I don't know what that role is. I don't know who the character is, but he looks probably more badass than he has in years. I mean, he did a great, very cartoonish villain turn in RRR. He was wonderful in that movie. But that was a pretty cartoonish role. He hasn't looked this badass since either Titus Pullo in HBO's Rome or Frank Castle in Punisher Warzone. I'm liking the look. And everything about the trailer looks really solid. I'm very much looking forward to it. Yes, Rosario Dawson is problematic with some of the things that she has said about women and trans people. That's going to weigh down my enjoyment of the series. But I don't know that it's going to make me stop watching it. So I am looking forward to this, if for no other reason, to see Ray Stevenson just be a total badass with a lightsaber and force powers. That's a win in my book. This is coming this August. So August 2023 for Ahsoka, August 2024 for Season 2 of Andor. Go check out the trailer if you like trailers, if you want to watch Star Wars trailers. It's really impressive. They did a good job. All right, on to our next topic. I did not pick an image for this topic because they didn't have a good one up because it just came out so quickly. Gall darn it. And I forgot to update it before I went live. So it's just going to be me. It's The Marvels. The trailer dropped on Good Morning America. Well, it's because Disney owns ABC. This morning. And the trailer looks incredible. I said this in a post when I teased the trailer out to my Facebook friends. Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan was really funny in her own series. I laughed out loud at some of her wonderful reactions in this trailer. The new costumes for Ms. Marvel, for Captain Marvel, for Monica Rambeau. I don't know if they're calling her Photon or Binary. Probably Photon. Look great. The sort of redesigns of some of the Kree. Yes, there's more Kree in here. There's Kree in Captain Marvel, in the original movie, so there's more Kree in here. The redesign of the some of the looks of the Kree, particularly the Accusers. It still clearly looks like Ronan from the first Guardians of the Galaxy, but they've tweaked the costumes a little bit, and it looks really good. What we get to see about how this is a spoiler for the end of Ms. Marvel. If you have not watched the Ms. Marvel series yet, it's been out for a while, but still, I'll wave my hand when I'm done with the spoiler, so feel free to plug your ears or turn off your sound or whatever. But at the very, very end of Ms. Marvel, in essentially a post-credit scene, Kamala uses her bracelets and in sort of smashing them together, rather like the original comic book or the middle comic book Captain Marvel and Rick Jones. But instead of swapping place with some dude named Rick Jones, she swaps place with Captain Marvel, who appears in Kamala's bedroom in New Jersey and looks like really confused. That apparently happens to all three of them kind of randomly whenever they use their powers in the trailer. And that leads to some very exciting stuff and also some very comedic stuff. There's just a lot of really cool reveals in the trailer without, I think they do a really good job of not giving away anything. And again, I won't talk about any of those particular reveals other than that what sets this all up is that big post-credit scene in Ms. Marvel where somehow their powers are connected and they swap places when they use them. All three of them sort of randomly. So It looks amazing. I can't wait to see it. It is coming out very soon, which is November 10th. So it'll be out this year. Not very soon, but it'll be out this year, which is a good thing. And I'm looking forward to more information about it. I hope they don't do what they did with Ant-Man Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, and kind of reveal pretty much every big secret that was in it. That was just dumb marketing. I think that might have been that they knew that that was not the best movie that they could have made and decided to reveal some secrets to try to entice people into seeing more of that secret. But they gave the secrets away, so, why bother? But everybody looks really good in this. Obviously Brie Larson is fantastic. Teyonah Parris as Monica Rambeau, really good. Again, can't wait to see it. I'm really excited for this. I want to see more of the trailer. I want to see more information. I did the whole slow the trailer down to half speed and pick out the details, and then went, I'm not really going to be able to talk about them anyway, so oh well. But it's really good. It looks really good. If, again, you like trailers, you're interested in the Marvels, go check it out. November 10th, movie comes out. Directed by Nia DaCosta, the remake of Candyman. Looks like she's doing an amazing job. On to our last bit of news for the night, and the last bit of news coming out of Star Wars Celebration. That is a teaser image for the upcoming Volume 2 of Star Wars Visions. And it looks fantastic. May the 4th, be with us, is when this drops on Disney Plus. And the lineup, so what they have done with Volume 2 is they've gone outside of Japan. Volume 1 was all Japanese anime studios, and it was all done and in various really wonderful anime styles. In Volume 2, they have decided to just jump all over the globe. And all the way down at the bottom left, that is from the studio Aardman, the makers of Wallace and Gromit. Just the trailer that they did put out a trailer for this, by the way. The trailer, that segment alone has such hilarious Wallace and Gromit energy. It's just wonderful. Right above that, the images of the person in the sort of very white, whatever you call it, fur-like stole, cape, whatever. I believe is from the segment that's being made by Cartoon Saloon, the studio that did My Father's Dragon, Wolfwalkers, The Secret of Kells. Just outstanding sort of Celtic-inspired animation. That one also looks great. The one, I think, in the middle, based on the animation style anyway, I think is from Studio Mir. Studio Mir has been around for quite a while. The primary animation studio behind The Legend of Korra, behind Young Justice Phantoms, most recently. They have done quite a lot of work. I know I'm missing something else. Oh, Voltron, of course. They were the main production and animation studio behind Netflix's Voltron. And all of the recent Netflix DOTA Dragon's Blood, I think they've done 1 and 2. I think they're about to get into 3, season 3 soon. Korra, Legend of Korra is, a classic. Voltron was excellent. Young Justice Phantoms was really solid. DOTA, Dragon's Blood, animation was really good. Character designs and the character writing was pretty solid. The plotting was just bizarre. You really got the impression that they relied way too heavily on everybody supposedly knowing enough about DOTA and the world behind it and so on. I'm not a big fan of exposition, but you've got to at least tell your characters or your viewers what the hell is going on. So, yeah. But again, the animation part of it was absolutely fantastic. And then there's a bunch of other studios that are from various places. There's a studio from Singapore. There's a studio from South Africa. There's a studio from Chile. Again, all over the world. Most of them producing things that I've never heard of. There is one Lucasfilm and a group called Dart, as in D apostrophe art, Stagio. No idea how you would pronounce this weird word. With writer, director, and executive producer of this particular episode, Leandre Thomas, and co-director Justin Ridge. They are both in-house Lucasfilm people. And most recently have worked on things like The Mandalorian, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, and Star Wars Rebels, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and so on. So that's a nice touch that they're letting one of their or two of their internal people sort of collaborate and make something, which I think is going to look really great. I'm not sure which studio is doing it. One of them, I could have sworn it was Laika, the sort of interesting stop motion with various media like paper and so on from Kubo and Two Strings. It's not. It looks a lot like Laika kind of stop motion, but it's apparently a different studio, and I don't know which one that is. But they all look great. I love the idea that they're taking this out of Japan and spreading it around the world. I hope they keep doing this. These shorter segment stories, some of them are, as I recall, were like as little as 15 minutes long, and I think the longest one was a little over 30 minutes. Great way to tell wonderfully concise stories. Almost all of the individual segments in Volume 1 were fantastic, or were good to fantastic. There was a dog in there, but that happens. Both of the ones that were done by the two founders of Studio Trigger were awesome. Absolutely awesome. So I'm assuming that this will be the same level of quality. Yeah, maybe there's going to be a stinker, but most of them will probably be ranging from good to absolutely outstanding. And May the 4th, a little over 3 weeks. I can't wait. And again, I hope that they've already got Volume 3 in the works, so this can be a yearly thing. And like every May the 4th, they bring out another Star Wars Visions, in which case they clearly would have had to have had Volume 3 already scheduled, know which studios are doing it, and so on. And, again, let's mix it up a little bit. Can you imagine the studio behind Arcane, the League of Legends Netflix anime, doing a Star Wars short? Please make that happen. We talked last week about Science Saru doing some work. Let's have Science Saru do another Star Wars Vision short. Nancy, I just saw the stream pop up on my home screen, so I thought I would leave a sub. Thank you, Nancy, and welcome to the show. This is our last topic, so I would invite you to weigh in on all of our topics, but at this point, we're kind of done. But if you do check in every Tuesday at 8 p.m., we do love responding in real time to chat, whether it's there on YouTube or on Facebook Live or on Twitch. And since Nancy has sort of led me into that point, that's the end of the show, folks. I am going to go back to opening doors and windows and enjoying this beautiful still upper 60s. In fact, it just went up. I like that. Weather, whilst, and at the same time, I let you know about our last promo, and that is, of course, our Patreon page. Patreon.com/nerdcaliber. Check it out if you would like. Become a patron if you would care to. Our lowest tier is $2. And we use all of that to get to other cons, to expand our coverage, to bring you more shows on YouTube, more videos on YouTube, more photo galleries on the website nerdcaliber.com, more articles, etc. So do check it out. In the meantime, we will be at Wicked Comic-Con in Boston at the Heinz Convention Center in 2 weekends, the 22nd and 23rd. I'll be in, I was going to say Community Row, but that's what they call it in Anime Boston. But it's the same idea. Community, other cons, organizations like ourselves, Nerd Caliber, our good friends Red Raven Studios, other people like that, in tables in the carpeted row that runs along Exhibit Hall A and B. We'll be at table 13, so do check us out. I'll have the backdrop set up, lights up, ready to go. Be shooting cosplay photos, of course, when they go up on the galleries. Download them for free. Use them in social media as you will. Can't use them to make money. I mean, you can. You just have to get a license from us and pay us a lot of money. Harry Brady, welcome to the end of the show. Hopefully you've been lurking and just saying hi now, as opposed to tuning in right at the very end. But we'll see. And then, Free Comic Book Day, May 6th, I will be up at Double Midnight Comics in Manchester. We've got other cons going on after that. We'll have galleries going up from MegaCon Orlando, more galleries going up from Anime Boston. So check out the website, check out YouTube, and in the meantime, stay safe. I threw it all away already. Nobody wants to see it anyway, but I, took my first COVID test out of a week at Anime Boston weekend, long exhausting weekend, at Anime Boston, and it's negative, but I wore a mask almost all the time. And keep wearing masks, folks. Cons are becoming really crowded. Anime Boston Saturday was probably the most crowded I've seen it in, I would say, a year prior to the pandemic. Probably 2018. It was nuts. PAX East was crazy 2 weekends before that. So wear those masks, even if it's not a requirement. Do the right thing. Wear them when you're walking around, and if you're a cosplayer, take them off if somebody's taking a photo. Just try to find a spot where you're at least 6 feet away from anybody. Now, just do the smart thing. Don't get COVID. It's awful. And with that, we'll see you at an upcoming show. We'll see you at an upcoming con. Please stay safe. Enjoy this warm weather if it is getting warm where you are, like it is where I am. Good night.